Good morning, I'm WaywornWyrm, and welcome to my channel. And welcome back to The Fires from Nilfgaard, Episode 3, Nekkers. Gwenifer took this moment to show anyone who didn't know why she was the leader of this group. She stepped toward the back room, with the door heading out back. We might be dealing with a troll, but there's a trail to follow. Let's follow it and see where it goes. Lela spoke up. It is getting rather late. We should be careful. Not only that, but I don't think we should try and engage a troll if we find one tonight. Gwenifer motioned toward her. You're not wrong, Lela, but we can't risk this trail going cold. The group quickly moved through the back of the house and relied on Culmast to point the way along the trail. They left Aaron behind, but no one minded, including Aaron. Aaron would not be much help to them on this trip, and he did not feel the need to put himself in possible danger, especially when the dwarf mentioned a troll. He just quietly slipped out and headed back to his home, considering his service completed. And the trail led a ways into the forest before they reached a rather grisly sight. 7 small humanoid creatures with sharp teeth and claws and rolls of fat hanging from their neck, and what should have been a chin, were fighting over the corpse of a woman. They managed to stop before the creatures noticed them, and huddled behind a fallen log to talk briefly and quietly about what to do next. Gwenifer nodded over to the creatures. Nekkers. Horrible little beasts. These must be the little ones the bandits mentioned before we killed them. Fight hard and fast. They're pack hunters. With that, they all pulled out their weapons and attacked. Culmast was the first to rush into the fray, slicing at one Nekker with his sword. The cut went deep into the Nekker, who fell to the ground, clearly dead. His second cut went deep into the torso of a second Nekker, who also fell dead. Knowing he had rushed headlong into a large group of foes without immediate backup, he quickly swung a third time. However, this Nekker successfully dodged out of the way. Adalbert followed on Culmast's heels and swung his axe at the first Nekker he came across, slicing its left leg clean off as it tried to jump out of the way. It fell to the forest floor, where it bled to death. In his second attack, Adalbert cut a Nekker in half at chest height. Seeing Culmast trying to push himself to kill as many Nekkers as possible, Adalbert also pushed himself and swung again. The Nekker tried to dodge and hold up its arm to block the axe, but all it managed to do was slightly slow the axe as it passed through its arm and buried itself into the Nekker's chest. This left 2 Nekkers, who started running. Gwenifer took careful aim at the center of one of the fleeing Nekker's mass and fired her crossbow at it. The bolt sunk into the Nekker's back, and it went flying as it lost all control of its body before landing hard against a root, dead. Rundarin caught up with the last remaining Nekker and aimed a blow of her jambalaya to its head. The Nekker tried to dodge out of the way while not falling in its flight, and ended up deciding it would rather not trip and focus more on that, to the unfortunate effect of getting a large dagger-like object shoved into its head. It collapsed with a spasm, and with that, the fight was over. Before they left, both Adalbert and Lela told the party to wait as they went about the grisly business of their own. Lela started the macabre work of harvesting alchemical parts from the Nekkers, coming away with 7 hearts, 14 claws, and 13 teeth. Adalbert decapitated each Nekker, saying, "There should be a small bounty on Nekkers, and proof of death is how we collect." The fight went well for us, and it very easily could have not gone so well. Gwenifer nodded. Good thinking, Adalbert. So far, we've been quite lucky. There will come a day when we aren't. Culmast went around the area looking for more of a trail to follow, but was soon forced to admit that there was none to find. Runderin focused on the bloody remains of the corpse the Nekkers had been consuming when they found them, and she determined that the body's injuries before death were consistent with what she had seen on the other bodies. With no other leads, they went back to the house they had been in to collect the loot from the bandits they had slain earlier. They found 87 crowns, 20 mundane objects that Gwenifer would add to her cart of goods, 100 crossbow bolts, some of which would go into the cart while Gwenifer would keep others, and 5 sets of light armor, which would make their way into the cart as well. While this was going on, Lella went to Aaron's house and knocked on the door. Aaron opened it up, and when he saw who it was, looked quite annoyed. "Don't you realize how late it is getting?" She looked at him apologetically. "I do, and for that I apologize, but we really need you for a few minutes more. Adalbert is summoning the guards to the house in order for us to collect some bounties on both the bandits and a group of Nekkers we found in the forest. We would like you to come and identify the bodies as bandits so we can avoid trouble." With a sigh and a show of grumbling, Aaron agreed and came with Lella. He had agreed just in time, as they met Adalbert and the small guard patrol just outside the house. The guards were surprised to see him. "Aaron, what are you doing here?" the leader of the patrol asked. "I am here because I witnessed the small fight that this group engaged in with the dead inside. I am here to ensure that you know that the dead were indeed bandits, and not the owners of the house, who are known to you." The leader of the patrol looked first at Aaron, then to Lella. "If you were here for the fight, as you claim, why did you need to be summoned?" Aaron rolled his eyes at this question. "I am sure you were also told that there were apparently some Nekker heads that they wished to turn in for that bounty as well. The fight happened close to an hour ago, and after they finished in the house, they went to follow a trail into the forest." Cutting off what he figured would be the next question, he continued, "I know, charging off into the forest in the dark is a damned foolish thing to do. I agree with you, but this group did it. After they had left, I figured, incorrectly apparently, that my services were no longer needed, and I went home." "What services would that be?" "The services of someone who knew what happened here, at least somewhat. This woman," he motioned at Gwenifer, who had joined the small group just outside the house, "is a merchant from Nilfgaard, and is considering moving to the area. To do so, she would need a home, and since the owners of this house are currently in my morgue, I was supposed to show her this one as one she might buy." It registered to everyone in the group that Aaron was bold-faced lying to the guards about what was going on, but they figured that he had reason, and they'd follow his lead about not bringing up being hired to figure out what was attacking the people in the town and stealing the children. The guards collected the Nekker heads and observed the dead bandit bodies, and paid 3 1/3 florin for each. The guards seemed to be rather begrudging about paying out, but they did as they were supposed to in the end. Once that business was over with, and there were no fresh leads left for the party to go over, they went back to the Wolfhead Tavern. Re-entering the main room of the tavern, they saw many more people there than had been when they first arrived. They settled down to a nice meal and drink, while they just listened to the people of the town talk. Much of the talk was boring and about the weather and the war and crops, but the undercurrent of fear was very much present in every conversation they overheard. Delke, the barkeeper, showed them to a single room when they were ready to retire, telling them once again that their lodging was on him for as long as they were making headway in the case. Each member of Gwenifer's company laid down to a decent night's sleep on beds that were at least beds, if not very comfortable. They were awoken the next morning by insistent knocking on the door. Colmast, who was the first who worked through what a knock could mean, looked at the others to fear. Could it be the guards? Did they know and disapprove of what we're doing? Or do they not believe Aaron's story about the bandits? Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Fires of Nilfgaard. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the next episode of the Monster Manual Backward. Thank you.